This is a very touchy subject.
Get it?
Sasha.
Sorry, I had to throw that in there. But anyways, I'm gonna open the video with this. We need to create a safe space for men to admit this is a problem and tell them that it's okay to be honest about it. I understand it's something that's definitely frowned upon and has a lot of shame tied to it. But I think part of the reason why men can't quit this and not fully comes to terms as to why they're doing it is the fact that they're too afraid to just admit to doing it at all. And let me say this, it is a very difficult thing to quit. King Solomon is noted to be the wisest man in the Bible. For those who are unfamiliar with scripture, Solomon was a king and was granted wisdom from the Most High. Solomon, through his gift, led a successful nation for 40 years. That was until lust and gooning took over him, and he took up many wives. His continued effort to lust ultimately led to him losing everything that he built. So if the wisest man in scripture ultimately struggled with this and lost everything, who's to say that cannot be you? It's definitely a mountain to climb in quitting this, but the climb is only going to be easier if we're being honest about this and uplift each other. Thankfully, I didn't struggle with the gooning addiction, but looking back, I could see a couple things in my life, if they went differently, how I could have easily succumbed to a life of lust. When I used to beat my meat, what I struggled most with was, since I'm an anxious overthinker, I always needed an outlet to release this anxiety. And I unironically used post-nut clarity as an outlet to ease the stress levels and to give me clarity on a decision I was anxious. Gooning completely warps your ability to successfully interact with 50% of the entire population. If you are constantly in this goon mindset, every woman that's not your mother essentially becomes an object, an objective, not someone you can interact with on a human to human level, not someone that could be your friend, not someone whose agency and autonomy you can respect, not someone who's just more than an attractive body, but instead someone you can only seek for their body. An object, an objective. Your objective is to attain that person's body for yourself. And you cannot simply build healthy platonic nor romantic relationship with women if all you desire for them is their body. There's a long list of men who cheat on their significant other because they were too busy chasing a nut, or even worse, they did not cheat, but they had such a heavy corn addiction that they could not perform or satisfy their woman in bed. And don't think it's something that you can hide. Women have this unique ability to sniff out gooners, and more often than not, gooners tend to have insecurity issues that are often projected onto other people through their interactions. So women pick up on this pretty quickly, and they pick up on men who can exude confidence, keep their composure, and actually make an effort to engage with them with mutual respect, and treat them like a human. Another thing I noticed with gooners is that those that still manage to pull women, their standards get lowered because, again, all they're concerned about is chasing the nut. Now, for some men, that's all they're looking for. But for me personally, I'm at a point where in my life I want something more serious. But for those who are only looking for something casual, you play this dangerous game just because she's pretty. That don't mean she's good for you. And I'm sure a lot of us, myself included, have at least one story in our lives where we dealt with an attractive woman who's batshit crazy and does not bring any peace in your life. Unfortunately, some men's lives are ruined by dealing with the wrong woman. And Solomon is the greatest example of this. A number of you heard the term semen retention, and while I don't believe in that, but from a faithful perspective, protecting your seed is to not defile your soul. When you goon, you are defiling your soul. You become spiritually unclean, which in turn leads you to being exhausted, having these negative thoughts about yourself and projecting it onto other people. Much of that energy that could have gone to something more productive, instead of it released onto you gooning. When I finally quit, I did fold after a couple days, and every single time I came back to it, I would feel worse and worse after I did it. And that's when I finally realized that it was something that I no longer enjoyed. And all that it took for me not to do it again is to fight the immediate urge when I would receive a trigger. That's not to say I will never relapse again or have gooning thoughts. I live in New York City, and we have some of the most beautiful women in the world. And I will not lie to you. If I see an attractive woman, I sometimes do stare maybe a little too long. And sometimes a gooning thought does come up. But I understand at the end of the day, I'm human. And so long as I don't act on the urge, I will make progress. Gooning. Have some solace that you don't need to immediately figure it out, or you can just immediately shut it off. So long as you're being intentional and taking the necessary steps in cutting off the vices that trigger you to goon, you will eventually make progress. And if you're someone who does not get laid, do not think you're the only person dealing with this issue. If anything, very attractive people who constantly get laid have it way worse. They have to fight with the idea of fighting disease, kids, and most definitely other people's emotional baggage, or their own. Ultimately, these vices like corn, OnlyFriends, the strip club, they're all placed to drive you away from you growing mentally, spiritually, and physically. Temptation will always be lingering, but you must persevere because it's always easier to go back than to quit. Thank you for watching. Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Like, subscribe, click on the notification bell. Peace be with you all.